This will be a little bit of a different monthly channel update situation, as it's going to be quite long and it will cover a lot of things. The first part of it here will be your normal channel update, what's been going on and stuff, what the plans are for the future, what's going on with this thing, and overall just an overview of what we do with the channel. And then later on, just kind of more into the personal side of things. I like going through the current series and just overall series that I've been doing in these monthly updates. Not even necessarily because I think you guys are itching to know what I think of the series, but more than anything to remind me of what I'm doing or what we have done, and it just kind of starts the whole thought process about it, and it helps me discuss it with myself. So at the end of 2015, we were just wrapping up the F1 series with Kurt, which obviously it was a huge milestone for me personally, and it was a huge, I don't know, just kind of momentum builder for the channel. I certainly don't want to make it sound like, oh, I just did it, because it would help the channel. It was something that was just a lot of fun to do. In all reality, it was more about building friendships than it was building any kind of channel, because honestly, it was a pretty flat year through 2016 for growth of channel stuff. Like, if you want to look at the actual numbers and bragging points and stuff like that, yeah, it was a pretty stagnant year overall for that kind of stuff. There was the steady growth, and I'm very pleased with that, but that kind of stuff, I realized this will be coming up on my 4th year of doing videos. I realized 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm doing this for popularity, if I'm doing it for growing, having that huge explosion of viewers and stuff like that, then I'm never going to be happy with it. So over the past couple of years, I've really focused on just doing things that either make me happy to create or helps me build skills to create other kinds of content. One of the big things I focused on this year was trying to do more in real life content, including the garage stuff, which I think if you go back and you watch like the first Cone's Garage stuff to the last Cone's Garage stuff that we did, there was some huge improvement in there. And not only am I getting more comfortable with it, like I'm getting way more comfortable with this kind of video format. I'm also understanding the technology better. I have just acquired this device that I am recording this on. That is an actual dedicated video camcorder situation, and Dux was nice enough to get me some studio lighting as well, so my face, it is evenly lit. So yeah, that was nice. That was something that I asked my family and everything to focus on for any kind of gifts for the holidays, was any kind of video improving technology. And yeah, we got some new stuff here. It's not state of the art and it's not professional grade, but it should help me do even more and better content as we move forward with that stuff. And yeah, overall I was pleased with the quality of content that I was creating, with the level of experience and tools that I had at my disposal. And although I didn't get nearly as much of it done, I'm very proud of the stuff that I did do. And I'm very proud to say that people got on board with the project, or projects, even the Supra, which I'll get to later, that Supra. Yeah, people really got on board with it, and that is the most important part for me, is building that sense of community around the stuff that I'm doing. Not necessarily getting tens of thousands of views on things, but that's been the huge increase in satisfaction I have with the stuff, with the content I create this year, is that it feels like people are actually involved with it now, versus never before have I ever felt that way. I felt like I was just putting content out there and assuming that people enjoyed it. And this year it feels finally like I'm actually doing stuff and I can see the connection. I can relate to people's emotions around the stuff. Holy crap, I'm tangenting already. Okay, so F1 was wrapping up. iRacing was something I didn't even, this year it felt really short to me. However, I think it's almost like somewhere in like June, I split the year in half. Like that first half of the year was a year, and then the second half of the year was a year. It's super bizarre. I don't even, like I started going through the videos posted this year, and I'm like, wait a minute, that was this year? No. So like iRacing, for example, I was still doing Star Mazda at the start of this year. That is probably the first iRacing series. Nah, I'm not going to say it's the first. I was pretty happy with GT1 too. But Star Mazda was one of my favorites in iRacing. And then we moved on to Formula Renault in that early part of the year, and let's never say those two words again. In fact, that series kind of actually moved me away from iRacing. Not because of the content necessarily, or I wasn't happy with the quality of video I was making. I just wasn't very happy with iRacing at the moment. It seemed to have, in that series anyway, kind of lost its gentleman racer ways, and it had become very frustrating for me because I want to race like people would race in real life. And it seemed like there was a shift of personality in iRacing there, where it became that first-person shooter mentality, where no matter what, the only important thing is that I win. And that kind of mentality does not work in racing, because A, you'll crash a lot of cars, and B, you'll not have a sense of like competition, like camaraderie, or the working with the cars around you kind of sense of racing, not just iRacing, is part of the fun of racing. If you're racing for 15th or 1st, just having a good battle with somebody, or working together to try and pass the cars ahead of you, that kind of stuff is what makes racing fun to me. And yeah, I just felt like I had lost that bit of it for a while there. Recently, I have returned to iRacing, as you've seen, and I'm doing things intentionally to try and improve on that, and I think it's working so far. It's very early into that, but we'll see. One of the biggest things through 2016 for me has been the creation and the out-of-controlness of Conelanders. So Conelanders started as a grouping of ideas that I had that I wanted to try and expand on. Here's what I set out to do. Here's the main reasons that I started it. Both myself and Kurt were having a great time with Dirt Rally. However, that game's scope is very limited. It's a fantastic title, and if you don't have Dirt Rally, you should own it. But it is extremely limited in stuff to do. And I realized that the campaign is very limited, it's very repetitive, and it's not extremely video friendly, especially as like the grind starts to get in there and you're doing the same stages over and over, and events are multiple episodes long. It loses some of that video appeal there. So when I noticed that you could form your own leagues, the idea was to make a league that was similar to career format and would be in small enough chunks that you could do a video per week or so in Dirt Rally and have it the correct length. And not only that, we could be competing together with viewers and each other, and it would kind of open up an opportunity to keep playing Dirt Rally and not get burnt out on it. And it has been extremely successful at that. I am still to this day playing Dirt Rally, and I think if it wasn't for the league, I wouldn't be. So another reason that I started that, or that I thought the idea behind a group of Conelanders would be a good idea, is that ever since I started my channel, I've always wanted to do Let's Play content in sim racing format. As a whole, that has not been done extremely well, I think. It's a market of YouTube or content creation that is very poorly executed. When I think of videos that I enjoy watching in normal games, the things that I like are the person doing the video being able to put their personality into the video. I don't want to just see a person showing gameplay and then talking their way through the gameplay. I want to see them, relating themselves into what's going on, having their experiences being told or whatnot. And Kurt, Good, BOO, those are the kind of people that I first started watching, and it's that aspect of the videos that I really enjoyed. And even in my first 2 years doing video, I was terrible at it. Like I had a hard time interjecting me into the videos. And it was noticeable to me that doing the sim racing stuff was virtually impossible to do that. Not just because of the format and how much, focus it takes to actually do those videos, do the activity and make video, but the community in that situation is not open enough for, just being that kind of commentator or expressing yourself in that way, and you behave differently. Like, me doing video is not me. I don't mean to say that I'm like changing my personality, but to some degree, you're hosting. You're the host of the show, and you can't do that in a big public setting in like iRacing or something. It just doesn't work. So the idea eventually moved into the Assetto Corsa thing. So we had been very successful with our little small group that was pretty loosely based around Dirt Rally. There was no officiality to it. I think the group was just the people were getting together. People were using it as a platform to make video, and out there in the realm was this whole other game, Assetto Corsa, that was being pretty much overlooked at that point. The DLCs hadn't started rolling out, the game hadn't come out on consoles, and overall Assetto Corsa was on the downward slope. It was losing the popularity it gained because, like Dirt Rally, there was nothing to do. The career sucks, the scenarios suck, AI were and debatably still are terrible, and the multiplayer isn't great either. The public lobbies are so spread out. It's it's so divided between the European servers and American servers, and the whole server system is just not very clean and tidy. It doesn't work very well. So I pretty much stopped playing, which was a shame, because I love Assetto Corsa. It's one of my favorite physics engines out there. It looks fantastic, it drives good, the netcode's not bad. There was no reason for it to fade away, other than the fact that the developers failed to understand how to make a game. They made a very good driving game and a very poor game, in my opinion. So I pushed forward into making the Assetto Corsa League Racing, trying to get as many people together to do videos, here's where my brain was. And I did a very poor job of relaying this to everybody, what the idea was, what the vision was here. The idea was this was going to be sim racing for group collaborative video content. But to do that kind of format, you need to have a group of people making video. So I reached out to this newly formed Conelanders group that was centered around Dirt Rally, and I was like, hey, if anybody is interested, I would like to do some league racing, but as a group and, in the spirit of making video. It was a huge technical challenge for myself because server-side stuff and overall trying to do online racing in the game, especially at that point, was extremely challenging. It was unfortunately not created with that kind of stuff in mind, I believe. So there's a lot of technical restrictions that cropped up through that. So I dedicated, in the first season or two, there was points I was spending 20 plus hours a week solely focusing on making that work. And it was a huge technical burden, but luckily through that little community we had gathered, there was also a lot of people that helped out and took up some of that, responsibility to work on the technical side of things, and over time it got tremendously easier as we went. Things started working smoothly, and there wasn't as many hang-ups and stuff like that, so it got better. The problem is somewhere, season 2-ish, I would say, somewhere season 2 or season 3, I let go of the leash of it being content creation based. And that kind of happened through the group expanding at a rate that I was not prepared for. It exploded in size very quickly and started to go outside of the realm that I was familiar with. Like people that I knew, people that were even familiar with me or Kurt were starting to become part of this. And I'm terrible with people. I gotta be honest. I am horrible at both managing people or turning people away or anything like that. I never want to, offend anybody or say, you aren't, I don't have room for you in this. I struggled to say things like that. And through that, I lost the whole thing, the whole group lost sight of the original vision, and it became a racing league. Racing leagues are all over. There's tons of racing leagues for Assetto Corsa, iRacing, whatever racing game there is out there. And through that, it became so much more focused on the competition than the collaboration. And that's where it really started to struggle for me. So after season 3, I decided to let one of our more prolific members of the community who had really helped out with the technical side of stuff, the Holy Moose, take over the league, because I didn't feel right saying, you know what, this isn't what I wanted, just cancel the whole thing. No, because the league was successful. People really enjoy it. People have fun with it. People do, in fact, create content in it. Friendships have been made. Collaboration stuff has started from that series. So I didn't feel right just saying, you know what, this is it. I'm cutting it all off. So if you've seen me kind of remove myself from that, it's not through wanting to get rid of it. It's more that it just wasn't at all what I envisioned. Add into that this whole Discord community and aspect started with hundreds of members, people that I don't know, people who maybe don't share the same, values or motivations that I had started the group with, and that all just started to really stack on for me. I was tied to the group, like people in, say, the Farlander community or other communities. They understood that I was the figurehead of it, like I had started this thing, but they were using the group to represent me. That wasn't a group that I actually started. Like it wasn't like I invited people into it. It was just expanded and expanded out of control because I was, like I said, such a poor leader of it, because I didn't even know I was starting a group. It was a very confusing time for me, and it was very frustrating. Over the past couple months, really, I think I've made the right decisions to kind of try and get it back to the original concept. And hopefully moving through 2017, I still feel like I'm not there with that content. I'm not making the kind of sim racing content that I hope to make, because I don't think it exists. I have not found other people out there making that kind of content in Assetto Corsa or iRacing or any of the sim racing games. We got close. On occasion, there was moments where I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. But it didn't quite pan out there. We'll have to see what 2017 offers. Oh, and in fact, I have notes. Oh, professional. In fact, January 6th will be the 1-year anniversary of the Dirt League, so congratulations to everybody. I want to know, post in the comments if you have been there in the Dirt League since the beginning. I know there's some of you out there, and I would like to know how many. So automation's been one of the things, I say this in many updates, it has always defined my channel, and it should, because if it wasn't for automation, I highly doubt I would have made it through the first 2 years of struggling to create content that I was proud of if it was not for automation. That game is what taught me how to do video, and it brought in the initial audience. So I'm forever thankful for automation for coming around. And then, much to my surprise and very happy that this happened, the whole automation development crew, right off the bat, we initially, because nobody had done Let's Plays in the game before, they were very excited to see that somebody was. It's a shame that they were so terrible because I was so new to doing the videos, but for whatever reason, everything clicked between us. So I would say those are some of my closest internet friends, because they're in New Zealand, and odds of me ever flying to New Zealand, very low. But we work really well together, and through the year, we actually started to work on some technical stuff together that I'm very excited about. I thought it would be something that would happen in 2016, but game development's a crazy thing. You never know how long these things are going to take. So in 2017, for sure, there's something that I worked on with them that is part of automation that I think is going to be super exciting. And it is actually really tied in to the stuff I did with Conelanders. It will definitely have some huge implications for that. And I absolutely cannot wait for that to be released or publicly known. It's probably one of the things I'm most proud of being part of through the last year. So, going to continue, obviously, playing automation. I don't play it like a lot of people, if they had a game that was that successful for them, would just, pump out videos for it. And I get comments all the time of people like, I want more of these videos. I don't want to do that because the game deserves my full attention when it's in a more completed state. And if I just slammed out videos in automation like crazy, I would be so burnt out on the whole idea that by the time that game was complete, I wouldn't be as inspired to do videos in it. So I think our pacing for that is perfect as it is. I will say this, as someone who knows a little bit of the behind-the-scenes stuff of that game, the future for that game is extremely bright, and you should be keeping your eyes very close on what happens with it in 2017. Alongside of the in-real-life card content stuff, another thing I really pushed for getting back to this year was creating individual content. And what I mean by that is games that aren't... Oh, the camera. Okay, never mind. That's going to look really silly in video, but a box appeared around my face because the camera apparently has facial recognition. Interesting. Anyway, where was I? I don't remember. Oh, okay, the individual content videos are games that the gameplay is backseat, and I have to host. I have to be the one creating the entertainment point of the video. That's the kind of stuff I've always struggled with. Like I said, I struggled to put my personality into the video. Let's see, what games did I say? Oh, I started with Rainbow Six. That was just something I enjoyed playing, and it was just a little, reintroduction for myself. Didn't go over very well, and honestly, I don't think the videos were very good. But it got me started. Then I moved on to 7 Days, which was one of my favorite things that I did this year. I really enjoyed doing those videos. They were not extremely popular, and not a lot of people got on board with it. I'm way late to that train, and was too new in it for anybody to become interested in it. I understand. That's fine. I'm still happy I did it because it really did help me break out of that shell a little bit. When we moved into City Skylines, I think that's where it clicked. Doing the Cities Skylines series is the first personality-forward series, as I'm calling it, that I think has been extremely well done for me. Like, I feel very proud of those videos, and people have gotten on board with it for a game that's ancient. You know, so many people have done that. For people to get on board with it, it tells me that I must be doing something right with it, that people enjoy it still. At the same time, I moved into doing Forza Horizon. Same thing there. Trying to do something that so many people do, games like that, and they all, you have a divide there. There's people that just play the game, and they put up the gameplay footage with, you know, commentary in it, or they go way, way right field, I don't know, my right hand's out, and do the silly stuff, like your slap trains and commentators like that. It's highly edited, it's very polished, it's done purely for entertainment. I kind of slotted that one right in the middle, where I'm interjecting, but also going through the gameplay. It's the first time I've played a game like that, really. So, I wouldn't say it's my most successful series by any means, but I've had a lot of fun with it, and that was just something that was important to me. I needed a little bit more fun on the channel and in my life. From a games front, that kind of covers it. I did purchase Planet Coaster, so as Cities wraps up, I was surprised. I said, yeah, I'm probably going to wind this series down. People were like, no, we would still want this series. We'll see what happens with Cities. Just like with Automation, I'm not going to overplay it. It doesn't create good video. So probably my biggest goal for the next year, as of now, is to do a lot more of the in-real-life car stuff, try and get that ball rolling, and you know, get the whole motorsports channel worked out. I'm still very glad that I separated the two. There's been very little content on that yet, but I feel as though the potential is there, that once I have enough time to focus on doing this kind of content and the money to really back it, I think that might be one of the things I enjoy most doing. We'll just have to see if we get there. A lot of the wind was taken out of my sails this year with that because Damon pretty much quit racing, and I didn't get to travel with the Spec Miata team. I didn't get to go with any Chump Car races, and I was really looking forward to doing a lot of content with those kind of formats, doing almost like a documentary style of like what it's like to do entry-level racing. I've been in contact with another team, a good friend of mine, who does a Chump Car team like full time. They go to dozens of races a year in Chump Car, which is pretty unheard of and unreal. Going with them and being there for the sole purpose of doing video, that would be awesome. That would be incredible for me. As much as I love the mechanic side of things, I'd really love to be there to show, here's what it takes to get through a Chump Car race weekend. I think that would be cool. It's kind of unseen. There's videos out there about it for sure, but I would love to give my perspective on it. That same person is also the person that hopefully is helping me replace the Solstice in the next year. That was supposed to happen this year. It didn't quite happen yet, but 2017, the Solstice is going away, hopefully. Okay, so before we move into the personal stuff, which I've already recorded at the point I've recorded this, and I did it while I was driving and stuff like that, so that's a whole different day and everything, so prepare for a shift. Let's go through some like bests of the year. So the most liked videos this year, and that's kind of what I base things on, not views, not money, not anything. Most liked, because that tells me it's so hard to get us viewers, you viewers, to click the damn like button, that it means a lot to me to see videos that go higher than others. That tells me that people are really excited for that. And it's usually episode 1's human nature. You're always excited for the first one. Automation had the most liked video of the year, and that was the first car design in the Light campaign. That's probably through the Light campaign. So many people have been waiting for it. People were really excited to see videos on it. I probably didn't do the best job of doing videos for the Like campaign at first. I should have stuck to the basics, and I decided to go with the story theme. It was tough. The two did not necessarily mesh together perfectly. But still, the most liked video of the year, 119. The second most liked video, this one was a surprise to me, was Cone's Garage, the Mark II Supra introduction. Not even the one where we worked on it, the one where I introduced it. I like that video. I like the format of it. It's something that I'd love to do more of. A little bit comedy and a little bit just like, look at this thing, look at it, just look at it. I would love to do videos of that. Just finding bizarre cars. Number 3, 115 on the last one. 114 was the Solstice car review, which was a one-off thing that I really wanted to do, because although I want to get rid of it, I still really love the Solstice. It is a hidden gem in the automotive world, and it has not gotten very much attention at all by anybody. And it really should. I would absolutely keep it if I didn't have the desire to do more cross-country kind of traveling through the next year, and I would really keep it if this car went full track duty and needed like an autocross car, because it would be brilliant for that. Number 4, again, this is a huge surprise to me, the first Cities Skylines video at 111, tied with the first Forza Horizon 3. So those two people seem to really get excited for, and that was great. And that inspired me so much to put more effort into those. So when you're hearing people say that likes help them, it's not always just for monetary reasons like you might think. It's for motivation reasons too. That little thing that you did by clicking that button for those videos really inspired me to put more of my heart and soul into them. So they probably made those videos better. And let's finish out with favorites. A lot of people will do favorite TV shows or movies or stuff like that. I don't watch TV shows or movies, so all I have is music. And I love music. I probably listen to music for, I would say on any given day, I'm listening to music for 30 to 40% of it. So, favorite songs of the year. Number 1, Highly Suspect, My Name is Human, is probably one of my favorite rock songs of a decade. Just an outstanding track. It has some very dark but meaningful lyrics that just like cut right through you. It has an incredible sound to it. It's a goosebumpy song for me. It really stirs up some things in me. Likewise is Black Honey by Thrice. That one too. They both have similar feeling to them and meaning. So those two are both rock songs, and I've always been primarily a fan of rock music, but as of the last 5 or 6 years, the electronica stuff has started to filter into my everyday life, and it's an interesting thing because rock music has pretty much stayed the same for the last 20 to 30 years. Watching this electronica genre be developed in front of me, watching it happen, is cool. I wasn't into rap, I wasn't into hip-hop, so although those developed in my lifetime, I wasn't into them, so I didn't really appreciate it. This has developed in my lifetime, so I really appreciate watching it develop. And my favorite of all of that stuff is going to be Silence by Coven. It's got a phenomenal sound. It's not technically brilliant or anything like that. I've always loved music from like the Glitch Mob or the more heavy industrial type of music. But there's also something to be said about a song that just It has great lyrics. It has a very, catchy, I guess is the word, sound. But it's also just extremely pleasing to the ears, and that song hits all of those. So a little bit of my favorites of the year, just because it feels right to do something like that for a year in review. It is another year in the books, and since I have a birthday that is just 7 days after the new year, it's always kind of an interesting sequence of events here where it's the end of the year, another year's gone by, but also, I'm another year older, and, you get to throw all of that right together. And 2016 was a lot of year to throw together, that is for sure. I'm not going to go too into, like, the whole 2016 from a world perspective. Plenty of people out there have done that, and it's been discussed plenty of times. But I'm a true believer in everybody having their own lives. So just because 2016 may have sucked big time for a lot of people, doesn't mean that it was a bad year. It doesn't mean that there's not people out there that had fantastic years and made the most of it. So, yeah, I'm not gonna say, this year was bad because it was 2016. That's just not the case. For me personally, I went into this year with high goals but low expectations. I mentioned this at some point during the year, maybe it was right at the turn of last year. I am turning 30 this year, which you say that and people go, oh, well, that's not very old. You don't need to worry. I'm not worried about being old. I don't care about being old or turning 30, the big 3-0 or anything like that. I'm worried more about, like, the here and now. Getting things turned around for myself right now more than anything. The number is just one of those things to kind of like motivate me or maybe even demotivate me, depending on how you look at it. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, and by the way, this is going to be a rather heavy blog this month. I'm sorry if you're not into that kind of video right now, then maybe this is not the video for you. But yeah, the 20s for me were a pretty spectacularly resounding failure all around. I tried many things in my life, as many people do. As you go into adulthood, you have to find your bearings. You have to figure out what works for you. And some people do and some people don't. Unfortunately, at this point in my life, I've not found my bearings yet. To say that everything I've done, or to say that I am a failure, is certainly not fair to me. It's not fair to even people around me, or the people that raised me. That's not fair at all. I have not failed at everything. I've just failed to excel at something. I've failed to get this change out of my shifter for the past 3 months. I have failed to succeed at something, to excel at something. At age 30, I still don't make enough money to, say, live on my own. I rent a bedroom in a house still. I am scraping together money to try and get myself another car. It's nice. A lot of people out there don't have it maybe even as well as I do. I have a reliable car. I get to drive cars that truly make me happy. I have a roof over my head. I have food. Bad, terrible food that I eat because I'm still a child. I'm not trying to pity party, oh, look at me, how poor I am. No, that's not it at all. I'm saying, what the hell, man? Why have you not gotten this shit straight yet? What is it that is stopping you from
pushing forward and being successful in life. And that's like Pandora's box right there. There's, okay, that's fine. Just turn in front of me. That's cool. That's fine. There's an endless amount of reasons that things are the way they are. And I understand that most of them are tied to me, my personality, my personal hang-ups. I could be a successful retail associate or whatever. I've been at the same company for 10 years. I've had tons of opportunities to potentially move up through that company, and I could be making, the $30,000 or $40,000 a year right now if I wanted to. The problem with that is my personal hang-ups of, yeah, but do I want $30,000 a year and to be working 50 hours a week in a retail environment where I'm miserable? Is that the life for me? And when I ask myself that, the answer is always no. So until that answer changes in my head, I'm gonna keep doing things that I think I can be successful at, even if financially it's not the smartest decision to make. But to be honest, it's wearing a little bit on me. I feel myself losing contact with a lot of real world friends that I've had through the years, friends that I've made through work or just other, mostly work, to be honest, because I'm kind of irrelevant to them now. I understand completely. They've moved on. They have families, they have lives, they have successful careers and stuff like that. And to be honest, I don't fit into that scheme. And I probably, more than they do, choose not to keep those people in my life, because it is that constant reminder of hey, you could be like this. This could be you. The only thing stopping you from being that is yourself. So it's difficult. It's very weird for me to say this, because my YouTube / content creation career, if you will, is not a career at all, basically. I've not gotten to the point where I can say that, yes, this is my job, this is what I do, this is what I'm successful at. But it is what currently defines me as a person. It's the only thing I feel comfortable with relating myself to. If you told me 3 years ago that I would be at the point that I am at right now, I would honestly probably be surprised. Would I be ecstatic? Probably not. I don't know, because I don't think I ever actually anticipated what I'm doing here to become the central point of my life, the actual thing I'm working towards. But somewhere along the lines, it clicked in my head that I might actually be pretty okay at this, and this might actually be something that could spur a lot of other things in my life that might lead to a career that I actually do enjoy. The question is, how long do I give it? How long do I give myself? Till I'm 40? I mean, that would be nuts. Not to be totally midlife crisis-y about it, but that would be well into half of my life still not working for quote-unquote the man, and still not having any success. That would be probably pretty devastating. A devastating waste of time, basically. What would I even be working towards at this point is a question. And I don't even know. I did the college thing full time for 6 years. never really made a ton of progress with that. I racked up enough student debt to cripple my ability to go to school full-time any longer. So that's been not very positive. And in those 6 years, I kind of grew very bitter towards the whole schooling/university type of system. So I'm not even as inspired as I once was to do that. But yet it could be the degree that's holding me back from making the progress. If you ask my parents, they're going to say, yes, it's the degree that's holding you back from making progress. But getting there was wrecking me. I was the least happiest I've ever been in my life doing the college thing full time. Mostly because it was for something that I was not passionate about. It was something that I didn't even think I was good at, I guess is what because I was very into engineering when it started, but then it quickly became obvious to me that I am not smart enough for that. Then I was very passionate about graphic arts, and I was into that, and it was going well, but then there came a point when I started to realize, A, that I wasn't very good at it, which was explained to me in a rather blunt way through failing to get into the graphics art program 3 times in college. So that stung a little bit. I didn't give up at that point. I have now been pursuing that same degree through a lesser school. So I didn't give up on that ever. I have, gone down to a lesser school, working on classes for that program when I can, paying for them out of pocket instead of student loans. It's tough. As tough as it was to do full-time, it's almost even tougher to do it part-time because my mind doesn't stay in it. It doesn't stay fresh. And I don't feel connected to the program at all. On top of the fact that the debt from the first part of it pretty much limits down what I feel comfortable doing now. So it's a real tough situation there. Again, for something that I don't even know I would be successful at. I don't feel very confident about it.
I hope it doesn't feel like, crying for attention kind of stuff. That's not why I produce video on that kind of stuff. It's just that I think my favorite part of watching my favorite personalities on YouTube is not necessarily the stuff that they play or the videos they make. It's getting to know the person behind the video. And most of my favorite creators are very good at that, and I've gotten more comfortable with showing that side of myself, and whether people are interested in it or not is its own separate thing. It's anytime you put something like that out there on the internet, people are going to want to help, and that is always great, but just know that just because me or anyone out there may appear to not be appreciative of you wanting to offer help, just know that usually the most helpful part of that process is just expressing it. Just getting those feelings out there. Like, just the act of telling somebody is usually the most helpful part of it. Not necessarily, hey, hive mind out there, tell me how should I feel. That's a different kind of thing. It can be very helpful, and I have gotten some phenomenal advice from people over the years, so it's a double-edged sword there. Okay, that is it. That is a wrap. Hope you're excited for the upcoming year. Thank you to everybody who's watched this year. Thanks to all of my patrons, new patrons, old patrons, people that are making this financially possible for me through these kind of tougher times at the moment. So, endlessly thankful for all of you. and I hope you have a great new year, and you stay here and continue enjoying my progression through finding out what the hell it is I'm actually trying to do here.